Did they think you'd chase them? They were wrong. You're choosing peace, and they're not ready for what's coming next. Hello, my incredible chosen ones. Welcome back. If you're here, it's no accident. You're part of a divine gathering, a soul tribe that's here to do something different. You're not here to chase what's running away from you. You're here to choose yourself, to choose peace. How many of you have been in a situation where someone just expected you to fall apart without them? They expected you to send that desperate text at 3 a.m. and beg them to come back. They expected you to stalk their social media to see what they're up to and to let your world crumble into a sad, messy heap of what-ifs. You know the scenario, right? It's the classic exit strategy of a toxic person. They leave, often with a little dramatic flair, and sit back with their popcorn, waiting for the show to begin. They're fully prepared for you to chase them. They've already rehearsed their lines for when you come crawling back. Maybe they're even telling their friends, "Oh, they'll be back, just you wait." And for a while you might have felt that pull. That gravitational force of a past connection is trying to drag you back into its orbit. The ego whispers, "Go get them, show them you care, prove your worth." But you, my beautiful, awakened souls, have something they didn't count on. You have God on your side, and you found something far more valuable than their temporary presence. You found your peace. You've decided that your serenity, your mental health, and your spiritual well-being are non-negotiable. You've traded the chaos for calm, the drama for divine destiny. You've looked at that chase and said, "Nah, I'm good. I'll just sit right here in my peace, thank you very much." They're probably scratching their heads right now. Their carefully constructed plan of you chasing them has backfired spectacularly. You're not chasing. You're healing. You're not begging. You're growing. You're not looking back. You're moving forward with a grace and strength they can't even comprehend. This video is for you. It's a testament to your strength, your resilience, and your spiritual awakening. It's a guide to help you stay awake on this powerful journey. We're going to break down exactly what this shift means and why choosing peace is the most powerful move you could ever make. So get cozy, get a notepad, and let's dive into the 7 reasons why choosing peace over chasing toxicity is your ultimate power move. Point 1, the spiritual awakening. This isn't just about a breakup, a falling out, or even someone walking out of your life. It's a profound spiritual event, signaling a shift in your energy and consciousness. When you stop chasing, you're doing far more than relinquishing pursuit. You're stepping into alignment with a higher purpose, a rhythm of life that discerns between what is meant for you and what simply isn't. The act of letting go, though counterintuitive in a world obsessed with control, is actually one of the most powerful spiritual practices you can embrace. It's a declaration to the universe. I trust you. I trust that what's meant for me will not pass me by, and what passes me by was never meant for me. Internalizing this truth allows you to operate not from desperation or fear, but with clarity, dignity, and unwavering faith in the unfolding of your path. Modern psychology underscores this principle. Clinging to outcomes we cannot control is one of the fastest ways to drain emotional energy. The constant need to control or predict others' actions triggers stress responses in the body, flooding it with cortisol, the stress hormone, and leaving us depleted. Neuroscience shows that the brain, when fixated on uncertain outcomes, becomes trapped in a loop of anxiety, reducing cognitive flexibility and impairing decision-making. Yet when you release and surrender, your mind and body enter a state of calm alertness, a fertile space where creativity, intuition, and higher guidance can flourish. By stepping back, you stop chasing illusions and start attracting experiences in alignment with your soul's design, ones that nurture growth rather than perpetuate cycles of disappointment. Spiritually, stepping away from the chase is transformative. It is an exercise in humility, trust, and self-sovereignty. You are shifting from ego-driven thinking, which whispers, "I must have this, I must control that," to spirit-driven knowing, "I am already whole, and life will bring to me what serves my highest good." In this sacred space of non-attachment, your inner sanctuary becomes visible. Your peace is no longer negotiable. It is a fortress of the soul, protected by quiet, unshakable power. By refusing to chase, you assert boundaries, not with anger, confrontation, or defiance, but through a profound demonstration of self-respect and divine trust. The awakening that comes through this surrender is subtle yet profound. You begin to notice patterns previously hidden, recognizing that every person, loss, or perceived failure has orchestrated your evolution. Heartbreaks are revealed as divine lessons, failures as realignments toward your purpose, and losses as gateways to spiritual maturity. You are no longer tethered to drama, anxiety, or attachment illusions. Instead, you operate from abundance and faith that the universe conspires in your favor. In this elevated state, your energy radiates magnetism, authentic, calm, and undeniably powerful. Letting go is not giving up. It is reclaiming sovereignty over your soul, taking back your time, energy, and joy. It is an awakening that separates you from the ordinary and propels you into the extraordinary. When you no longer chase, you thrive. You become a living testament to the truth that the universe provides what you need exactly when you need it for your highest growth. To live this way is to embody the essence of a chosen one, walking your path with faith, serenity, and a quiet, unstoppable power that no circumstance can shake. It's the ultimate proof that surrender is not weakness, it is mastery. When you internalize this, you realize that the act of letting go is not a loss, it is liberation. It is a recognition that your value is intrinsic, not contingent on external validation or the presence of others. Every time you step back, resist the urge to chase, and honor your peace, you are training your spirit, strengthening your intuition, and magnetizing your destiny. This is the journey of a chosen one, not defined by what is lost, but by the infinite potential gained when you trust, release, and rise. Point 2. The freedom from validation. Chosen ones, here's the truth that shakes the very foundation of human interactions. Chasing someone is never truly about them. It's about the invisible strings of validation we hope they will tug. When you pursue approval, affection, or recognition, you are unconsciously saying, "Your judgment determines my worth." Psychologists have studied this extensively. Our brains are wired to seek social validation, and the reward centers light up when we receive acceptance from others. This wiring made perfect sense in early human history. Our ancestors survived by belonging to cooperative groups and by being trusted and valued by others. Social acceptance literally meant safety. But in today's world, this ancient survival mechanism can trap us, chaining our energy to the opinions and approval of people who may not even understand us. Here's where the awakening begins. Your worth is never contingent on anyone else. Biologically, humans have a natural tendency towards social comparison, a cognitive bias studied extensively in psychology. We instinctively measure ourselves against others, feeling elation or disappointment depending on how we stack up. Yet the moment you understand that your value is intrinsic, unshakable, and divinely embedded, you break free from that trap. Every culture and spiritual teaching points toward this truth. The Bible says each person is fearfully and wonderfully made. Not a casual remark, but a radical assertion of inherent worth. It's not about ego. It's about recognizing that you were created complete, whole, and unique, independent of anyone else's opinion. When you decide to stop chasing validation, you're not surrendering or giving up. You are reclaiming your energy and sovereignty. You are saying, "I no longer perform to be accepted. I live aligned with the spark that burns within me." Neuroscience even supports this approach. Studies show that practicing self-validation strengthens the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for decision-making, emotional regulation, and self-control. When your sense of worth comes from within, your mind becomes resilient, focused, and capable of navigating life without constant external reassurance. The energy that once went into trying to convince or please others is now freed up for creativity, growth, and purpose. The paradox is extraordinary. The moment you stop chasing, you become magnetic. People notice the calm, unshakable confidence of someone who doesn't need them to feel complete. This isn't arrogance, it's a quiet power that radiates authenticity. When your energy is no longer entangled in the futile quest for approval, you start to operate from a place of genuine power, not reaction. Your presence becomes transformative because it embodies something everyone longs for but cannot imitate: self-possession, inner peace, and divine alignment. And here's the ultimate liberation. Letting go of the chase isn't about abandoning others, it's about embracing yourself. It's declaring with unshakable certainty that your worth comes from the source of life itself, from the divine spark that cannot be diminished by misunderstanding, rejection, or judgment. This is the essence of true freedom, the ability to live authentically, to act with integrity, and to radiate a peace that no outside force can shake. Chosen ones, the universe doesn't make mistakes, and neither did it with you. Your worth was never negotiable. It was always inherent, always sacred, and always enough. The moment you step into this truth, you cease being a participant in others' dramas and become the conscious author of your own life story, guided by the light within that can never be taken away. Point 3, the energy exchange. Chosen ones. Let's take a moment to really understand the treasure you carry, your energy. Think of it as the most valuable currency you own, far more precious than gold, stocks, or any fleeting material possession. Every interaction, every word you speak, and every ounce of attention you give carries a cost. When you waste it on negativity, gossip, or people who refuse to understand you, it's like pouring water into a bucket full of holes. No matter how much you give, it never stays. Science confirms this too. Studies in psychology show that prolonged exposure to toxic environments or negative interactions raises cortisol, the stress hormone. Over time, this doesn't just make you mentally drained, it physically depletes your body, weakening immunity, clouding focus, and even disrupting sleep. Every wasted debate, every futile attempt to justify your beliefs or choices is a direct hit to your vitality, an unnoticed robbery of your life force. Now imagine for a moment what happens the instant you stop explaining yourself. That moment, chosen ones, is revolutionary. You reclaim your power. You stop reacting to the external world and start directing your energy inward toward growth, creativity, and peace. This is not arrogance, it's clarity. Neuroscience supports this transformation. When you validate yourself internally rather than seeking approval from others, your brain releases dopamine and oxytocin, the chemicals of joy and contentment. In simple terms, your brain rewards you for trusting yourself. You feel lighter, more alive, and more anchored in your own reality. This is where the true magic happens. By protecting your energy, you're investing in your own life like a wise financier placing funds into a high-yield account. Every time you resist the urge to chase approval or engage in unnecessary conflict, you're depositing into your personal self-care account. And unlike a traditional investment, the returns here are exponential. Emotional resilience strengthens, mental clarity sharpens, and spiritual awareness expands. Philosophers from Marcus Aurelius to Lao Tzu have emphasized this truth. Control what is within your reach, your thoughts, your actions, your energy, and let the rest unfold naturally. This isn't about isolation, it's about mastery. And here's a paradox the unawakened rarely grasp. The less you give away your energy, the more magnetic you become. People sense it. Your calm, unshakable presence draws them in. You are no longer entangled in petty disputes or forced to defend your choices to those unwilling to see. This detachment isn't coldness, it's a demonstration of power in its purest form. Taoist philosophy calls this wu-wei, or effortless action. Influence comes not from striving or proving yourself, but from existing in a state of alignment, unbothered by external chaos. Like a tree growing strong in its own rhythm, storms may howl around you, but your roots remain unshaken. Practically speaking, this energy mastery opens doors you never imagined. Skills flourish, passions ignite, and relationships align with those who resonate authentically with your essence. Every negative interaction you abstain from becomes a lesson in sovereignty. Every time you prioritize inner peace over external validation, you are not merely surviving, you are evolving. You transform your life from a reactionary existence into one of intentional creation, where every action is a conscious reflection of your power. So, chosen ones, safeguard this precious currency. Treat your energy like gold. Stop pouring it into leaky buckets and start investing it in experiences, people, and practices that multiply it. Joy, wisdom, spiritual strength. The world will notice. Your presence will command respect, not because you demand it, but because you radiate it. This is the essence of the awakened life, unbothered, unstoppable, and infinitely magnetic. Protect your energy and watch how the universe rearranges itself around your unstoppable force. Point 4, you're honoring your boundaries. Boundaries are not just arbitrary lines you draw to keep people out. They are sacred agreements you make with yourself, a commitment to honor your own energy, mental space, and spiritual integrity. When you consciously choose not to chase after someone or something that drains you, you are actively reinforcing this pact. You are essentially telling both the universe and yourself, my peace is non-negotiable, my mental health is not up for debate, my spiritual growth is a priority. This act is profoundly transformative because it shifts your focus from external validation to internal alignment. Studies in psychology have shown that people who maintain clear boundaries experience significantly lower levels of stress and anxiety, as they no longer expend energy on trying to manage others' perceptions or control outcomes beyond their power. In other words, by choosing not to chase, you're reducing mental clutter and giving yourself permission to thrive in your own sovereignty. This principle is especially potent for those who walk the path of the chosen ones, the individuals who inherently sense that their life is guided by something greater, something unseen yet unmistakable. The world often misunderstands them. It resists their authenticity and questions their choices. Boundaries become the armor that allows them to navigate this resistance without losing themselves. By refusing to chase approval, recognition, or affection that isn't freely offered, they demonstrate a level of self-respect that cannot be negotiated. This is not arrogance, it's clarity. As the ancient adage goes, what you allow is what will continue. By actively choosing not to engage in behaviors or relationships that diminish your energy, you halt the perpetuation of toxic patterns before they can take root. The decision to set boundaries and honor them is also an act of spiritual evolution. Spiritual teachers across cultures emphasize that attachment often leads to suffering and that liberation begins when one no longer clings to external validation. When chosen ones refuse to chase, they are practicing detachment without indifference. They are cultivating discernment, the ability to recognize what serves their higher purpose and what does not. This practice strengthens intuition, sharpens emotional intelligence, and deepens resilience. It's fascinating that neuroscience supports this too. People who maintain boundaries demonstrate better prefrontal cortex activity, which governs decision-making, emotional regulation, and self-control. Simply put, saying no and refusing to chase doesn't make you weak. It rewires your brain for strength, wisdom, and long-term fulfillment. Ultimately, choosing not to chase is a declaration of self-sovereignty. It signals that your time, energy, and spirit are too valuable to be spent on chasing approval or tolerating disrespect. It is a radical act of self-love that sends a clear message. You are the keeper of your own peace, the guardian of your own journey. And in honoring this pact, you not only protect yourself from toxic influences, but you also create space for relationships, opportunities, and experiences that resonate with your true essence. For chosen ones, boundaries are not barriers. They are the pathways to authentic power, clarity, and spiritual liberation. By standing firm in your refusal to chase, you are not rejecting the world. You are affirming your divine right to live fully aligned, unshakable, and free. Point 5. The universe responds to your vibration. Chosen ones, listen closely. This is where the secret of true manifestation lies. And it's far more subtle than you think. The universe isn't responding to your frantic words, your desperate pleas, or your endless lists of please let this happen. It's responding to your vibration. Think of it like tuning a radio. No matter how loudly you shout at it, if your dial isn't set to the right frequency, you're only going to hear static. That frequency, the vibration you carry, is what the universe actually responds to. And here's the kicker: when you are chasing, scrambling, or trying to force outcomes, your energy is steeped in lack, need, and desperation. It's visible, tangible, almost like a magnetic field screaming, "I'm not enough. Please, universe, fix this for me." Ironically, this pushes what you truly desire further away. Why? Because the universe always matches your internal state. Energy attracts like energy. Now contrast that with a chosen one who has stepped into their peace. This isn't about laziness or passivity, it's about sovereignty. When you are grounded, self-sufficient, and radiating trust in your own worth, your vibration shifts from scarcity to abundance. You no longer cling or grasp. You no longer plead for validation or outcomes. Instead, your energy whispers confidently, "I am enough. I am ready for what aligns with my highest good. And the universe responds not because it likes you more, but because your energy is now a clear signal of readiness. People, opportunities, and blessings that match this elevated frequency can no longer resist your pull. It's like moving from a crowded, chaotic marketplace to a quiet, golden path where only what belongs to you can find you. There's even science behind this phenomenon. Quantum physics teaches us that at a fundamental level, everything is energy. Our thoughts, emotions, and intentions create measurable electromagnetic fields. The more consistent your vibration, your inner state of peace and worth, the more coherent your field becomes and the stronger your attraction power. Emotional chaos, on the other hand, creates interference, scattering your energy and confusing your signal to the universe. In other words, your inner calm isn't just spiritually powerful, it's literally a physical force in the universe, shaping outcomes in ways most people never realize. Here's the real magic. Once you step into this vibration, you stop attracting toxic chaos. No longer will you waste energy on people who drain you, situations that frustrate you, or experiences that pull you off your path. Instead, divine order begins to flow effortlessly. You start noticing synchronicities, small miracles, and doors opening that you didn't even knock on. And here's the ultimate paradox. The less you chase, the more the universe chases you. Your peace becomes magnetic, your trust irresistible, and your presence unmistakably powerful. So, chosen ones, this is the call. Stop trying to convince the world, stop over-explaining, and stop forcing outcomes. Instead, cultivate your inner vibration of abundance, trust, and self-worth. The universe doesn't need your words. It needs your energy. Align it, elevate it, and watch as your life transforms, not because you chased it, but because you allowed it to be drawn to the radiance you naturally emit. Point 6, the uncomfortable peace, chosen ones. Let's be honest. Learning to sit in peace is not the glossy, Instagram perfect image of serenity that social media makes it out to be. In fact, it often feels uncomfortable, almost unnatural, especially at the beginning. Imagine sitting in a room with no distractions, no phone, no music, no chatter. Suddenly the ticking of a clock feels like a drumbeat. Every creak of the floor sounds suspiciously loud, and your mind races like it's on overdrive. Old habits rise up, demanding attention. The urge to check messages, scroll endlessly, or prove your worth through productivity begins to scream at you like an alarm clock you can't shut off. Your ego, always clever and cunning, leans in to whisper doubts. You're wasting time, you're falling behind. If you're not producing or fixing something, you're failing. But here's the deeper truth. That very discomfort is the test. Stillness is not the absence of action, it is the divine challenge to be present. And presence, contrary to what society may say, is not laziness, it is mastery. Even science now confirms what ancient spiritual traditions have taught for centuries. Studies on mindfulness and meditation reveal that when the human brain practices stillness, remarkable transformations take place. The prefrontal cortex, responsible for decision-making, focus, and self-control, strengthens. The anterior cingulate cortex, linked to empathy and emotional regulation, becomes more active. Even the hippocampus, crucial for memory and learning, shows measurable growth. What does this mean? It means that choosing stillness over constant chaos literally rewires your brain, giving you greater clarity, sharper self-control, and deeper compassion. In a world addicted to speed and distraction, your choice to sit in quiet makes you a warrior of presence, forging strength in silence while others exhaust themselves in noise. Think of your inner stillness like the surface of a lake. When the waters are turbulent, everything beneath is hidden. Truths become distorted, reflections broken, and clarity impossible. But when the lake is calm, you can see to the bottom. Every stone, every ripple, even the reflection of the sky becomes clear. That is what stillness does for your soul. It clears the murkiness of distraction and allows you to see reality as it is, not as fear, pride, or ego want you to see it. In this stillness, your patience becomes your oar, trust becomes your anchor, and silence itself becomes the unseen wind that carries you forward. Of course, the world won't always applaud this. In fact, it may label you as lazy, unambitious, or detached. Society thrives on constant movement, on glorifying the grind, on equating busyness with worth. Your refusal to be swept away by that current will confuse and even threaten those around you. But remember, your stillness is not emptiness, it is power. Every time you resist the urge to react to distractions, every time you choose observation over impulse, you are training your mind and spirit. You are aligning yourself with a rhythm far greater than the frantic beat of the world, the rhythm of the divine. This is the mark of the chosen one, not that you outwork everyone else, but that you understand what they cannot yet see. Consider how easy it is to be distracted. Anyone can fill their day with meaningless tasks, scrolling endlessly, rushing into decisions, or seeking validation from others. But it takes true strength to sit quietly and face the restlessness within. It takes courage to breathe deeply, to allow silence to confront you, and to wait without rushing for answers. And in that waiting, something extraordinary happens. You begin to hear God's whispers. Guidance flows not through force, but through stillness. Insights rise up in your heart, not because you chased them, but because you made space for them. Clarity cannot be rushed, wisdom cannot be forced, and divine direction cannot be borrowed from someone else. It comes to those who create room for it in stillness. So, chosen ones, do not fear the silence, do not run from it. Embrace it as your training ground, your sanctuary, your secret weapon. Sit, breathe, wait, trust. Know that every quiet moment is shaping you into someone unstoppable. Your patience is not inaction, it is preparation. Your silence is not emptiness, it is revelation. And your stillness is not weakness, it is ascension. In the quiet, you are not idle, you are becoming powerful beyond measure, aligned with truth, and guided by a wisdom that noise could never offer. The world may never understand, but you will. And that understanding is your shield, your compass, and your destiny. Point 7. They will regret it. They thought you'd chase them. They expected tears, anger, desperate messages, and the familiar back and forth that often comes with broken relationships. But instead, you chose something far more powerful. You chose peace. And that decision unsettles them more than any confrontation ever could. Why? Because human psychology is wired for reaction. Our brains are conditioned to seek resolution through conflict, whether it's fighting back, demanding answers, or trying to win someone over. But when you step out of that cycle, when you simply let go and refuse to participate in the drama, you break the expected narrative. This creates what psychologists call a mental discomfort that arises when someone's expectations don't match reality. They expect your chase. Instead, they're met with silence. That silence speaks louder than any words, heavier than any argument, and more final than any attempt at revenge. What many people fail to understand is that choosing peace is not the same as giving up. In fact, it's the opposite. It is a demonstration of extraordinary self-control and strength. Neuroscience backs this up. Studies on emotional regulation show that people who respond instead of react, who take time to pause, breathe, and act from a place of calm, actually rewire their brains to handle stress better, build resilience, and achieve long-term happiness. This isn't about suppressing your emotions, it's about mastering them. When you refuse to chase, beg, or engage in unnecessary conflict, you're not acting out of weakness. You're operating from a position of power. That kind of stability is magnetic. It draws respect even from those who once underestimated you, because people can sense when someone is anchored in their own worth. This shift leaves those who expected your pursuit utterly confused. They sit there wondering, why aren't they chasing me? Did I lose my influence over them? It rattles them, because what they once saw as predictable, the reactive, validation-seeking version of you, no longer exists. Instead, they are confronted with a version of you that is whole, self-sufficient, and no longer dependent on their acknowledgement. This transformation is unsettling for them because it forces them to reflect on their own behavior. They thought they had the script written, but you tore up the script and started directing your own story. That realization alone is powerful because it shows them that you are no longer orbiting around their world. They are now watching from the sidelines as you create your own orbit, spinning with light, direction, and purpose. The beauty of this kind of growth is that it doesn't require applause or recognition. It doesn't demand apologies or closure from others. Your peace is self-sustained. Robert Chu's words capture this beautifully. The person who does not value you is not a part of your destiny. Once you internalize this truth, their absence stops feeling like a wound. Instead, it becomes a doorway, an invitation to step into new levels of strength, joy, and independence. You start painting your life with intention, not with the colors of old disappointments or the residue of unmet expectations. Every choice you make, every boundary you hold, and every moment you dedicate to your own growth reinforces your independence and sends a message. You cannot be controlled by someone else's approval or lack of it. And here's the most ironic part. This is the closest thing to revenge you'll ever need. Not the bitter, destructive kind, but the silent and graceful type. The art of living well. True revenge doesn't come from proving someone wrong in the heat of conflict. It comes from living so fully, so vibrantly, that the very people who doubted you can only sit back and watch. They may never admit it out loud, but your peace becomes a mirror they can't avoid. It reflects their loss, their mistakes, and the fact that they no longer have access to your energy. That's a lesson they cannot unlearn. By rising in silence, by choosing joy and purpose over bitterness, you show them something they may never have seen before, that real power doesn't scream, it doesn't beg, it doesn't chase. Real power is peace, and once you've tasted it, you never trade it back for chaos. So, chosen one, remember this: your silence is not weakness, it's wisdom in action. In a noisy world where everyone is desperate to be heard, your ability to hold your tongue speaks louder than words. Psychology even shows that silence can reduce conflict, lower stress, and communicate authority. Your calm is more than just composure, it's a fortress. Studies have proven that when people stay calm under pressure, their brains operate with greater clarity, allowing them to make wiser decisions while others crumble in chaos. This calmness is not just personal, it's spiritual. The Bible often speaks of peace as a gift from God, something that transcends understanding and shields the heart from fear. That peace is your rebellion, a quiet defiance against the constant hunger for approval and validation that drives so many into exhaustion and emptiness. The luminous life you're building, rooted in purpose and free from distraction, is both your sanctuary and your triumph. People may never fully understand why you don't chase attention or why you don't bend under pressure, but that's the beauty of it. They were never meant to. Your calling is higher. You were meant to rise, to shine, and to live with such fullness that your very presence becomes untouchable, unshakable, and unforgettable. Chosen ones, you've already made the most powerful choice of all. You chose peace over toxicity, self-worth over desperate pursuit, and God's plan over your own limited vision. This isn't the closing of a chapter, it's the unfolding of a divine story. So keep walking in peace, keep trusting the process, and never forget: the person you once chased was never the prize. Your peace, your purpose, and your connection to God are the real treasures. Stay blessed, stay awake, and keep shining that rare, radiant light. You're exactly where you're meant to be.